Welcome to the Great Food, Great Stories podcast on Portland Culinary Radio. I'm Stephen Shelman, your host, and today we are talking Vinn Distillery. Michelle Vinn is here joining me. Good morning, Michelle. How are you?
Good morning.
I am delighted you're here. I'm a huge fan of Vinn and what you do. I've been following your story for a number of years now, actually, which has been a blast for me. But for those that don't know, what is Vinn Distillery?
Vinn Distillery is a distillery that makes all products from rice. We make everything from scratch. We do it together as a family, and we make 4 different spirits that are, one being one of our family traditional spirits that's been in our family for a long time, for many generations, actually 7 generations. It's made with 100% brown rice, and then we'll talk a little more about that soon.
Okay, so what year did Vinn Distillery open?
It started in 2009. It was established in 2009.
2009. And as I understand the story, your dad, Fawn Lee, he had retired from the restaurant, and he's at home, and he says, I just can't sit around and do nothing, and he decided it's time to start a distillery.
That's correct.
And then he roped all you guys in, and all of a sudden a distillery's born.
Exactly what happened.
And today it's you and your brothers and sisters and your mom, Kim. I don't want to leave anybody out, so let's see if I get everybody right. There's Vicky, who I met. Vicky's awesome.
Yeah.
Hello, Vicky, if you're listening. And Quinn and Quan and Lynn. So that's your siblings.
Yes.
Excellent. I love the family component. I think it's just fantastic. Okay, so what are the 4 spirits that you make?
We make a very traditional spirit called baijiu. Baijiu is considered the national drink of China. There are many ways to make baijiu. In China, there's thousands of distilleries, and they'll use ingredients that are most available in that area or that region. One of the most popular is made primarily from sorghum. We make it using 100% rice. That's because we're from southern China and northern Vietnam, and that's what was most available to us.
Okay, so when you say that it is the spirit of China, I'm a huge fan of baijiu. I feel like I could be a baijiu evangelist. So let me give you my understanding of it, and you tell me if I'm right.
Okay.
So this is a bit of a stereotype if you're listening to this podcast, but it's kind of true. If you go to Jamaica, you drink rum. If you go to Mexico, you drink tequila. If you go to Russia, you drink vodka. And in the same kind of way, not that they don't drink other things in Mexico, not that they don't drink other things in Jamaica. I've been to Jamaica. It's a great place. Love it. But when you go to China, the spirit that they predominantly drink is baijiu. It's a standalone beverage. It's kind of like vodka, but not really. It's its own thing.
It is its own thing. And there's a specific way to make baijiu. That's what makes it called a baijiu, and that's what the category is. You use a thing we call jiaoqiu. Essentially what that is a starter fermenter. It's a blend of yeast and enzyme together. So the steps are a little different in making it. Rather than having 2 separate steps, it's one step together. And then you take the mash, and you distill it. So the process is different in making baijiu. And of course, every distillery makes it slightly different. But yeah, in China, if you go there and it's a clear spirit, you're basically drinking baijiu.
And there's thousands of baijiu distilleries in China.
Correct.
I mean, like a lot.
A lot, yes.
That's fantastic. Okay, so what kind of cocktails do people make? Now, in China, they drink baijiu neat. That's one of the ways?
Yeah, traditionally it's usually sipped at room temperature and oftentimes accompanied with food.
And so here, the baijiu that you currently make is 80 proof.
It is.
And then one of the things you can do is you offer people to make it into cocktails.
Yeah, when we first came on the market, folks asked us how we mixed baijiu, and we didn't know how to answer because we've never mixed baijiu before. We've always drank it traditionally neat with food, with our dinner or lunch. But since we've learned that baijiu actually goes great in a cocktail, one of your favorite being the Beijing
Mule. Yes,
yeah.
It's like a Moscow Mule, but instead of vodka, you put in baijiu.
Yes.
It's fascinating how we do that here in America. I had Jacob Greer on the Great Food, Great Stories podcast talking about Aquavit Week. And Aquavit is a spirit that they drink, in Norway and Finland, places like that. And this isn't completely true, but they tend to drink it neat at the holiday time. And it's a very strong beverage, very, very good. But when they put Aquavit in America, they're like, oh, we'll make cocktails out of it.
Yes.
And so it's just, it's not generally made necessarily, at least initially, originally, traditionally, traditionally was not made into a cocktail, but now we make a bunch of amazing aquavit cocktails here, and the same thing's happening with baijiu.
Baijiu is the same thing. And in China, baijiu is used for many purposes. And so it's not just for drinking. I mean, that is a big thing. But baijiu was used to honor your ancestors, to celebrate the holidays, to make medicine with it. It's used for cooking. So there's a lot of purpose for baijiu. And back in the days, of course, the warriors, it's thousands of years. Baijiu has been around for thousands of years. And before they would go to war, they would take a shot of baijiu. And then when they won the victory, they would cheers to baijiu. And in China, if you go there, most business transactions are often closed with baijiu. So and if you modern culture is almost like a tequila style where you shoot it, either a quarter ounce or half ounce, and you just shoot it down. And it's ganbei means empty your glass, and you just throw it back.
Ganbei.
Ganbei, yeah.
Ganbei, I like that. And there are one place in the United States where baijiu is currently distilled, and that is Vinn Distillery, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
You're the only ones that make it.
We're the only ones that do make it legally.
Yeah, because lots of people of Chinese descent may do it at home and don't admit to it.
Maybe, yes.
Not that we'll acknowledge, yeah. Don't need the TTV after Chinese families. But yeah, so that's cool to me that we have it right here in our own backyard in the Portland area. We've got baijiu being brewed, which is phenomenal. Okay, so what is the second spirit you make?
We make the second spirit we made was a vodka. And we came out with a vodka because baijiu has a lot of flavor. It has an earthy nuttiness to it. So we wanted something more neutral for the mixologists out there, and something that's still rice-based because there wasn't any rice vodkas available. So we decided to make that as a part of our product line because we wanted to offer something that's familiar to everyone because no one really knows what baijiu is. But that's still in line with our family tradition and our family recipe. Okay,
and then rice whiskey. Your rice vodka is good, but now talk to me about your rice whiskey.
Yeah, so our rice whiskey came along 3 years ago, almost by pure coincidence or accident. Our sister went to a garage sale and was given 2 baby barrels, or she bought 2 baby barrels, and she had just finished distilling a batch of baijiu. So she said, let's stick some in there and see what happens. And so a year later, she hands it to us to sample, and we tasted it, and we were so amazed. And we were like, what is this? And she goes, it's our baijiu in a barrel. And I said, that's our next product. That's what we're going to do. And so we got to find out from TTB if it's recognized as a grain. And so they said yes, and they approved everything. And here we are with the first rice whiskey on the market.
And it's really good. I really like it. That's a great story. Okay, and then the cool thing that you do is you do a blackberry liqueur.
We did, We chose to do a liqueur because we wanted something sweeter for the sweet tooth folks. We chose blackberry because it's our favorite. It kind of reminds us when we were kids going out in Oregon, being able to pick wild blackberries, and the flavor is one of our favorites. So we chose that to be the liqueur. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's good. It is really good. I love it. What are some of the fun things you do with the blackberry liqueur?
It's probably one of our easiest product to mix. One of our most popular one is the blackberry lemonade, just a half liqueur, half lemonade. We've played with some more tropical type of things like pineapple. So we do pineapple juice with blackberry liqueur. That's really fun too.
That's a perfect summer drink right there.
It is, right?
I'm looking forward to that. Okay, so here's a fun question. So where were you born?
I was born in Quang Ninh province in North Vietnam.
So you were born in Vietnam,
Mm-hmm.
And where did you go to high school?
West Lynn.
West Lynn. Okay, so there's got to be a cool story there.
Yeah.
So talk to me about that. So you're born. So now you've been saying China, yet you're born in Vietnam. Did you spend any time in China? Tell me the story. This is a beautiful story.
Yeah. So we were born in North Vietnam. For 4 generations, our family lived in North Vietnam. We're originally from southern China, and then our great-great-grandfather went down to Vietnam for a better life. And then we were there for 4 generations, and then my siblings and I were all born there, but then we got deported out of China because we
out of Vietnam?
Sorry about that. Out of Vietnam into China because we were Chinese descent. And so we ended up in southern China. We got there, and somebody saw our dad, and his complexion was much darker. And so somebody asked, "Why is your complexion so dark?" Because I was a skipper in a fishing boat in Vietnam. So they invited him to dinner and got him drunk on baijiu, and said, "Hey, let's escape to Hong Kong." And so he's like, "Sure, what the heck?" Liquid courage helps to say yes. And one day they pulled their money together and bought a fishing boat, and 70 people from our village all went on the fishing boat for 57 days and ended up in Hong Kong. And we were brought on as Vietnamese refugees and brought into the refugee camp. Then we were sponsored by a church in Wilsonville that we fondly know as Frog Pond Church. And they sponsored our whole family over here, and we came in 79.
And how old were you when you came to the United States?
I was 7.
7. And so I don't know if you know the Neil Diamond song, "They're Coming to America." But that song always chokes me up, brings tears to my eyes. And so my country, the country I live in, my United States, is made stronger through immigrants. And so I am so glad that you guys are here and your family was able to. Must have been a real tough thing, culture shock, not culture shock, but tough to be deported from your country, Vietnam, sent to China, and then you guys, your words, escaped China to Hong Kong. Yeah. And then that must have been culture shock, 7 years old, all of that, and then ending up in Wilsonville.
Yes, it was definitely a culture shock, but we were so happy to be here. The amenities that we have and the resources that we have here in the U.S. is nothing compared to it's so much better than what we even experienced in Vietnam and China, so we feel extremely grateful.
Well, my country is, I've said it once, I'll say it again, I'll say it 100 times more, it's stronger than immigrants, and I'm so thrilled and glad you guys are here. And here's a fun little connection. You have Chinese background, and we're not born in China.
Correct.
I do not have Chinese background, and my grandfather was born in Harbin, China.
That is so wild.
Isn't that crazy how geography works? Yeah, he was Russian, and they ended up Harbin is a city in China that's Russian, and at the time it was Russian controlled, and that's where my grandfather was born because his dad was there, and then eventually the Chinese government threw the Russians out as far as controlling the city, but it's still to this day a Russian, people of Russian descent live in Harbin, China.
That is so crazy, yeah.
Oh, excellent. All right, and tell me, what was the reason that I know that your dad started it because he's got to do something, can't sit in his hands, but why start making baijiu? Because no one had it, right?
Yeah, we were in the restaurant business for over 20 years, and one of the things that the customers asked was something Chinese. We had Qingdao, which is the Chinese beer that was imported from China. But we looked for baijiu, and there was nothing to be found in any of the liquor stores' shelves. So when our dad retired, he's not a person to sit still. So he said, "I'm going to bring baijiu to America or put it on the shelves and so that it can be available in restaurants."
And now you've got baijiu bars popping up in New York, all over.
Yes.
There's a new baijiu bar in UK that's reached out to you guys.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's FU or FU.
Yes.
Yeah, and so I have a great idea. You should just give me a case of baijiu and ship me off to UK, and I'll be the baijiu evangelist. I'll go introduce them and talk to them about it.
I think that's a fantastic idea.
Okay, so what's on the horizon? Any new products you guys have coming out?
We do. We're working on a gin that's going to be rice-based, and then with some Asian influence in it. We're going to...
Oh, that sounds delightful.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be fun. It's going to have some lemongrass and some black jasmine tea leaves. So there's going to be a variety of different things that'll be thrown in there to make it more Asian style.
So when will that be available roughly?
We've tried batch 1. We're still working on trying to fine-tune the recipe, but hopefully maybe this year or the beginning of next year.
Okay, so friends of mine have Stormbreaker Brewing, and they do a festival every year at the end of February called Distillery.
Oh, yes.
And they pair up a spirit with a beer, and it's makes sense to lots of people familiar with whiskey and beer. But some of the funner ones I've had every year is they do a gin and a beer.
Oh, yeah.
And so I'm going to talk to them, Rob and both of them and say, hey, we need to have Vinn's gin in there and pair that with a beer.
That would be fun. That would be a lot of fun.
I think that's I'm going to bug Rob and Dan. I'm going to bug them and say, hey, this is what we need to do. So that's it. I'm going to say, I declare now, we're going to have Vinn gin in next year, the year after's Distillery, paired with a really good beer. Okay, and then what else?
And then we have a very traditional baijiu, because our baijiu right now has been the alcohol proof has been brought down to 80 proof, just to be more in line with the U.S. market's alcohol volume. Traditionally in China, the baijius are typically anywhere from 100 proof to 120 proof. So we're looking at creating one that will be 106 proof. We're going to add a different ingredient to it. We're going to use sorghum. Sorghum is still a gluten-free ingredient, so it's still in line with what our philosophy is at Vinn Distillery, making everything gluten-free. So there'll be an interesting twist to it where it has a different flavor profile than what we currently are used to and have today. But it's very similar to what you would get in the northern part of China.
Okay, fantastic. I look forward to trying that too. I love it. All right, so I wish you all the best. Oh, but before I forget, so
Yes.
you distill down in Wilsonville.
Yes.
But you have a really cool tasting room that I've been to right here in Portland.
Yes.
And so tell people where that is.
Yeah, our tasting room is at 222 Southeast 8th between Pine and Ash.
And people can stop by there and they can try baijiu and they can have a Beijing mule and they can try all of your spirits. They're all right there, and it's a fun little place.
It is, yes, thank you.
Excellent. All right, and I will see you. You are out and about. You come to lots of different festivals. I'm always happy when I see you and your sister. I don't see the other siblings. Someday you should have me down for a Chinese meal, and I can meet the rest of them, and we can enjoy some baijiu. But I just love what you guys do, and I think it's been 4 or 5 years now I've been following you, and it's been a joy. I wish you all the best on your journey.
Thank you so much, Steve.
All right. Thank you so much for listening to Great Food, Great Stories podcast on Portland Culinary Radio. I'm Stephen Chalmer, your host. Cheers, everyone.